How's this for double vision? Yes, today, 2 is better than 1. ABC Sports presents live the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. Today from Las Vegas, it's the $140,000 Showboat PBA Doubles Classic. Let's meet our top 5 doubles teams. In the first match, tour veterans Dave Soutar and Larry Laub face young lions Amleto Monacelli and Walter Ray Williams Jr. Next up will be the reigning Player of the Year, Marshall Holman, and his partner, 33-time PBA champion Mark Roth. In the semifinal game will be 2 players vying for this year's Player of the Year honors, Brian Voss and Pete Weber. And our tournament leaders qualified for this doubles championship last year, Dave Ferraro and Joe Berardi. All today on the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. And in the Showboat Entertainment Complex, the casino, the games of chance. Also in this environment, largest bowlish establishment in the world, 106 lanes, and that's where our doubles champions have been vying for the top spot throughout most of the week. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted to welcome you to 3 hours of sports entertainment here on ABC. We start with bowling, 10 great champions. It's like the who's who of the game. Wide World follows, and to find out more about that exciting show today, let's go to New York, and here's my colleague, Frank Gifford.
Thank you, Chris, and I'm here in Central Park in New York City, where I'll be hosting Wide World of Sports a little later on today. And what a show. You'll see a very special group of figure skaters. Calgary Olympic medalists Brian Boitano, Katarina Witt, Brian Orser, Debbie Thomas, Liz Manley, and much more. And from right here in Central Park, the prestigious mini marathon with over 8,000 women runners. We'll be back after bowling at 4:30 Eastern Time, and right now we're going back to you, Chris.
And here in Las Vegas on a hot day, it'll get to about 105 degrees, but it's dry and beautiful. We have 10 players, among them 116 PBA titles. My colleague has 17 singles and several doubles titles, so he is qualified to tell you all about the format. Nelson Burton Jr., Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Chris, it is an exciting format. This is the only time that the professional bowlers bowl a doubles tournament. We have some of the greatest bowlers of all time and definitely some of the hottest ones in the Pro Tour going at it today. We have 6 of the top 10 players and averages out here in the championship round. What you have to look for is very simply this: a doubles team. Each man will bowl 5 frames on a specific lane. With that kind of format, the players can get red hot. Remember, they don't have to go back and forth like 59 and then over to 60, make 2 different shots. They can get grooved on one lane. If 2 players get red hot, they can shoot tremendous scores. Now, they've been throwing a lot of strikes in practice. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that today. Now, there's also a lot of money at stake, Chris, and these players are shooting for $28,000 first, and let's take a look at the prize fund.
All right, here in the total of $140,000, you see 28 to the winning pair, 15, 10, 8, and 7. So the loser of our first game, which is about to start, will split $7,000. Veterans against the hot shots, the Lions on the tour, Dave Soutar, Larry Laub going against Amleto Monacelli, and the 1986 Player of the Year, Walter Ray Williams Jr. From Venezuela, Amleto will shoot first. He's on the left lane, and he will remain there throughout this first game, winner of 2 titles.
Chris, and one of the titles he won was right here in the winter, the Showboat Invitational, the singles title. Defeated Gip Wentine.
So Amleto has left the 4-pin on the left lane, and for the first time in the United States, his parents and his younger brother, Rudolfo Jr., are watching him live right here at the Showboat Lanes. Wonderful 26-year-old who has over $50,000 in earnings this year. And he is marked for his team with a spare. So his opponents now will bowl next. And here is the 1973 ABC Masters titleist, the 79 PBA Hall of Fame member. He's bowled in every Firestone, 48 years old, 17 titles, Dave Soutar from Leawood, Kansas. All right, powerful, Nelson.
All right, Chris, and once again, his partner is Larry Laub, another Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players of all time to bowl on the PBA Tour. Laub, a part-time player and financial advisor down in the Tucson area, still throws that ball real well. This team could really be a surprise if they get hot.
And the 1974 United States Open champion, he won it at Madison Square Garden, has come through with a strike, so that team with a double. Now, Walter Ray Williams Jr. We told you last week he was in the finals in Fresno. The next day, he was going to Pleasanton to compete in another important horseshoe pitching championship. He won it, 89.7% ringers. To go along with his partner, Amleto Monacelli's spare. We asked them earlier how what they look for in a doubles partner.
I was looking for somebody who can bowl in any kind of condition, and Walter is a good friend of mine, and we ended up bowling last year. We finished 10th, and right now we bowled pretty good this week, and we made it.
And I've been looking for a good partner, and last year we met up and decided that we'd be a good team, and it looks like we're going to do it this year.
And I guess so. Although Amleto had a spare in the first frame, Walter came back with a strike. Now Monacelli striking the third. So with a double up bow here again is Soutar.
Interesting format, Chris, and as you see, Soutar will only bowl on the right-hand lane. He'll bowl 5 frames, and especially a player of the style of Soutar who learned to bowl back in what we call the lacquer days, when he had lacquer tracks and you really got zeroed on a pair. I've bowled with this fella for over 25 years. He could be really tough.
Oh, a beautiful pin action on the right lane. 5 from Larry Laub. Here's a replay of that shot.
Watch the action of the head pin. It's going to the sideboard. It'll come right around and knock out the 10-pin. Sensational for Soutar. Not only does he have the power and the accuracy, but this could be a very tough team in the clutch. They have a lot of experience.
All right, they have 4 in a row, but we must point out there will be no 100,000 for a 300 game in doubles today. We'll be back.
Every day, Jack Taylor and Joe Donovan take the same road home, but today they went a little out of their way.
Give you a hand.
Here's to you, the clean, crisp taste of Beechwood-aged Budweiser.
This Bud's
For all the guys who go out of their way.
This Bud's for you.
The road is filled with all kinds of surprises and hazards.
Hey!
That's why if you want a smooth, comfortable ride,
Boy, do I need a smooth, comfortable ride.
get a set of Monroe Gasmatic shocks or struts. They'll give you the best ride ever, guaranteed. They're so good,
Hey, great ride.
they'll even help you handle the curve. No wonder America rides Monroe shocks and struts.
Oh, yeah.
Why do they call it heartburn? When it's me, your stomach, that's hurting. When antacids don't stop the pain from coming back, it could be an ulcer. It's okay. because there are treatment programs to help heal ulcers. If you think you have an ulcer, go see your doctor and ask about the available treatment programs. Sponsored by SmithKline and French, the ulcer experts. You could make your stomach very happy.
We return to the Showboat in Las Vegas. Walter Ray Williams ready to shoot for his doubles team, as this is a Showboat Doubles Classic. In the 4th frame, double working. He had a strike in the 2nd frame. And Bo, he, of course, throughout the game will be on that right lane.
Right, he can get zeroed, as we've seen everybody in the pocket.
What a match. Teamwork here today. And we have 10 of the best of 5 teams.
Chris, I've bowled in the championship round of the doubles twice before. Once I had the good fortune of winning it with Sam Zurich, and one other time with Earl Anthony, we made it to the final round. And one of the key things is not to press too hard in the game. Sometimes you think, well, they'll never miss. And sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself to throw strikes at the early part of the game. But obviously these players are starting real well, as there's 7 strikes in the first 8 tosses.
Amleto, who won from the 3rd seed earlier in the year on the Winter Tour, right here at the Showboat, comes up with a very high hit.
3-6-9-10 spare, one of the most difficult spares. And backing to what you said, Chris, remember how he straightened his ball out in that championship round back in January? Didn't play the big hook, and he played it on that shot, and it's gotten him in trouble on this championship here. So let's see if he can make the spare, keep the match close, and then make some changes.
8 inches tall, 150 pounds. The trademark is that he wears 2 different colored shoes. Championship pair today.
59 and 60 of this 106-lane establishment. 2 things to look for. I'll show you the oil pattern here on the right-hand lane, lane 60. There's oil down to 36 feet. It's hand applied. Now over here we have 40 feet of low surface friction finish in this area and high surface friction finish in this area, the last 20 feet. I've never seen lanes done that way. It's been ideal for the players.
After 4 in a row, Dave Soutar, the Hall of Famer, has come up with a high hit, leaving the 3-6-7-10.
A bit tentative. Soutar goes right through the middle. What he has to do is get the ball over here in the 3-6 zone and slide the 3-pin over into the 7-pin. You see the ball going through the middle. It's a makeable split for Dave Soutar.
Needs this 7-pin still wobbling down there. Not if it gets hit. Oh, a beautiful shot.
Well, looked like he had it, but cut that 3-pin a little bit short, and not to be. And so Soutar team drops from a lead of 14 pins. Now they trail by 2. Let's see if Laub can pick him up.
Here's a 44-year-old bowling out of Tucson. He does just that. The young man who won his very first of 12 PBA titles in Tucson years ago. Now Walter Ray Williams, 86 Player of the Year, crowd pleaser.
He's talking about his prowess in horseshoe pitching. Walter Ray has won over 100 horseshoe pitching tournaments. If he can just do 20% of that during his bowling career, he'll have been very successful. Now with a 2-pin lead.
He liked it. Walter Ray, who's won nearly $150,000 in 86 and 87, a little over 50 this year.
Watch the action of the 6-pin. This is a great move by Walter Ray Williams Jr. He gets the ball light in the pocket. The 6-pin comes up and just love taps the 10-pin out. That's the good power he has on that urethane bowling ball, and that's the key hit for a pro bowler. If he can just get that power and maintain a string instead of having a 10-pin standing. Now, see if Monacelli can capitalize on that strike up there in the 6th.
Winner of the Japan Cup in 87. One of the really pleasant international players regularly on the PBA Tour. We'll be back after this.
Somehow there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Hey, step up to the mic.
Mike.
Mycotin. This cures athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Myconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Yes? You got something that cures athlete's foot?
Sure, step up to the mic.
Huh?
Mycotin. It cures athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic. Use the Mycotin coupon in your Sunday paper.
Cars aren't cheap. Never have been. That's why I never take shortcuts with cheap oil and air filters. Give me AC filters every time. AC filters match the original specs on my cars like a nut on a bolt.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
Keep your car running the way it was made to run.
Now get up to $7.80 back on AC filters and plugs. See your retailer for details.
Our last stop on the spring tour telecast here at the Showboat Lanes. And immediately following this today, ABC's Wide World of Sports. And Nelson, talk about champions that will be skating. It's a real spectacular. Boitano, Vitt, Thomas.
Those guys are great athletes. I had a chance to compete against some of those skaters and ABC superstars back in the 70s. They'll surprise you, and it's really beautiful to watch. Then the mini marathon, 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles, a fast race, will be very interesting.
Mary Decker Slaney returning. Marathon gold medalist Joan Benoit Samuelson. And this great champion is really coming through today. We asked Dave and Larry how they happened to join up to compete.
I've been bowling well for the last month, going week to week. And last week, Larry's partner, Palmer Falgren, had an operation. And so I called Larry to see if he wanted a bowl, and here we are.
Well, it must work real well. Last year, Voss's partner dropped out at the last second. Voss picked up another partner and made a TV show. I guess it's going to work again this year.
And the last voice you heard was that of this man, Larry Laub, who left a 10 pin on the left lane. They're just trailing by 3 pins in this very first match. The winners will meet, get this, Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. What a daily double that is. Spare in the 8th for Soutar and Laub. Now Walter Ray Williams.
Walter Ray Williams, their team with a 3-pin lead, has a chance to extend to 13. And I look at the anchor players, or the last players that will bowl. Walter Ray Williams Jr. is anchoring this team as one of the great clutch players on the PBA Tour today, and Larry Laub has proved himself many times over, so it could go to the last ball.
A little body action at the line. He got plenty of action on the pin, so it gives him 3 in a row late in this very first match.
Big shot right here for Amleto Monacelli. The best that Soutar and Laub can do is 2:43. Monacelli and Walter Ray Williams Jr. would be going at a 2:46 clip if he can strike here. If he doesn't strike here, the match is up for grabs in the 10th.
Comes through for his team. Well, let's watch Soutar now. Spare working. He'll be shooting in the 9th.
For the duo of Soutar and Laub, the time is now. They cannot wait any longer. They must strike here in the 9th and 10th frames to have any chance of unseating Monacelli and Walter Ray Williams Jr. 9th frame.
This man's first title was the PBA National Championship in 1961. Did that in practice. And we asked him, how did that happen? He said, I wish I knew.
Well, what we looks as an apparent perfect hit, but unfortunately for Soutar. Watch the action. The ball hits the 1, 3, 5, and the 5-pin goes slicing straight back off for the 8. The 5-pin should take it out unless you get a bad break. Look at that, straight back. Too much power for Soutar, and a bad break at this point in the match.
Okay, now Larry Laub on the left lane.
Absolutely must strike 2 times. They have a potential 232. If they don't strike, Monacelli and Williams just have to keep it in the building in the 10th.
Just didn't come up, leaving the 2-pin
Well, for Larry Laub, it's seemingly over, but I'm sure that he'll be back bowling many, many more tournaments. He also is scheduled for a trip in the Hall of Fame one of these days, one of the great players of all time.
Very loud. He and his wife Pam, the parents of 3 children, Debbie, Carrie, and Whitney.
And for Dave Soutar, Chris, second pro tournament I ever bowled, 1961. He was my roommate. Dave and I cashed $100 in this establishment when it was only 24-lane center. Soupy going to take home a little bit more money today.
We just can't say enough for these 2 Hall of Famers, both friends for a long time. Laub at one time kept a lot of statistics for us up here, Bo. Today, of course, Palmer Fogren, after surgery, is back here working with us. Needs a shave, but other than that, he looks great.
Now, a potential 266 for Walter Ray's team. Bingo.
All right, Walter, Ray Williams, and Amleto Monacelli have fared successfully. They'll go against Marshall Holman and Roth. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Monroe Shock Absorbers. For shocks and struts, America rides Monroe. And by Smith, Klein, and French, the ulcer experts. We'll be back after this message and a word from our local stations.
Oh, look at me back in the 60s, working up a sweat. Oh, and that's how I used to pump iron. Not today. Today we're exercising more and eating less red meat. But red meat is a great source of iron.
Only Kellogg's Bran Flakes has high fiber and 100% of the iron recommended today.
So now I pump a little iron outside and inside. You know, I haven't felt this good since I burned that bathing suit.
Kellogg's Bran Flakes.
Quaker State with QSX. How do you make a motor oil this good? Testing, testing, testing.
Quaker State quality. We don't just talk about it, we live by it.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
It's more effective than the leading men's deodorant. It's been proven better in clinical tests at blocking odor. It's Old Spice Fast Track Wide Deodorant. It blocks odor better.
Next week on Good Morning America, Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin talk about Big Business, their new movie, plus Julio Iglesias and Andy Williams next week on Good Morning America.
You're working on your American dream, 'cause you want it to last forever. And if something is starting to show the years, you want to make it better.
Give your home new Anderson windows, 'cause when it comes to your home, nothing but the best will do.
Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson.
Available at Delta Lumber Do-It Center, John H. Myers & Son Incorporated, The Lumber Yard, and J.H. Brubaker Incorporated.
Bowlers everywhere know the place to go for bowling equipment is Bowler's Supply. But did you know that Bowler's Supply has quite a selection of billiard tables and supplies, or that they can make any billiard table or top in the color and style of your choice? If not, stop in and see for yourself. And bowlers, be sure to ask about today's most popular balls on the tour, including Brunswick Rhino, Columbia UDOT, AMF Angles, and the new urethane hammers. All can be expertly fitted and drilled to your size. So for selection and service, visit Bowler's Supply, 401 Carlisle Avenue, York.
TV 27 Harrisburg with translators at the following locations.
So the Showboat Doubles Classic team of Amleto Monacelli, Walter Ray Williams Jr. win by 44 pins, 265 to 221, 9 total strikes, 6 by Walter Ray Williams, and enter Marshall Holman and Mark Roth. We salute the ladies today on our Ask Bo question. They sure do have a bowling tour.
Many of you have written to me and asked, is there a women's professional bowlers tour similar to the men's? Well, the answer is yes. And today we're going to look at see how those women manage their personal lives and the professional tour.
Come on, Mom, let's have a strike.
Callie Sampson, in her second year on the ladies' professional tour, combines motherhood and career by bringing her children along on every school vacation.
They sit back behind me and
they cheer me on and keep score and kind of pick me up when I'm doing bad. And it's really more relaxing to have them with me in a way.
Mr. Wagner, line 1.
Line 1? Hello. Hi, my husband is Kent Wagner. He bowls professionally on the men's tour. When I'm close to a TV show, he'll call in my 5th game, my 6th game, my 7th game. He'll call the counter and ask them, would you go find out what she's doing for me? And then they'll have to go down and see. And then he'll call me as soon as I'm done bowling a lot of times and find out how I did.
Well, Kent gave up the phone calls and attended the finals of the Women's U.S. Open April 2nd. And Lisa did just fine, winning the tournament and $40,000. Winning the tournament and $40,000 was great for Kent and Lisa. Separate schedules, same profession, a mutual admiration society. Lori Nichols shares her motorhome with fellow bowler Cheryl Kessler, and whenever possible, Lori's husband Terry flies in from Chicago to watch her.
You got to be relaxed, and this is one reason why I chose to purchase the motorhome, is I think we can be a little bit more relaxed in it. We just want to have a good time, you know. If you can be relaxed, you can go in there and do your job in the lanes, and then you can come out here and relax again, and it makes it a whole lot easier.
Makes it better on the off time. That way you can apply yourself when you're bowling, I think. I think it helps.
Lori relaxes in her motorhome, but on the lane, she's one of the most consistent bowlers on the ladies' tour. The LPBT has 17 stops interspersed throughout the year. Sponsorships on the rise, and they're gaining more attention. Hall of Famer Betty Morris, 18-year veteran of the tour and still going strong, has some advice for women who are interested in bowling on the ladies' tour.
I would say definitely to go out and bowl in all the different bowling centers you can bowl in, because we face so many different conditions, and that's the main problem. A lot of people get very good at what they do if they just center it in one bowling center, and that won't make any money on tour. You have to be very versatile and be able to move around and do different things.
A terrific group of women. Don't miss the opportunity to watch the ladies when they're in your area. Well, Chris,
very good.
Very interesting, and I'd like to thank everyone who wrote to the Ask Bo segment of our show in the past 19 weeks. I'm sure we'll be back with it next year, and thank you very much. We'll try to answer as many letters as possible.
Glad to see the ladies being spotlighted. Nothing like equal opportunity. Now the opportunity for this man, the reigning player of the year, colorful Marshall Holman, and his partner, Hall of Famer Mark Roth. Meeting Monacelli and Williams, who won 265, 221. Oh, just beautiful pace on that ball. So here now is Williams, who one time was 6 for 6 in strikes in the first game victory.
And once again, to restate the format, Williams and Monacelli are partners. Walter Ray will bowl 5 frames on this right-hand lane. He'll bowl the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 9th frames. Monacelli will bowl the even number frames on the left-hand lane, all combined for 1 game.
And Walter Ray, with that high hit, has a 3-6-7-10.
Deadeye with the same hit that Dave Soutar had. He went right through the middle. Now he needs to get the ball over by the 3-6 and slide the 3-pin over into the 7-pin. One of the great spear shooters and split shooters on the tour. Let's see if he can do it.
Nearly stuck at the line, nearly fell over it. So it wasn't quite what he wanted, so it's an open first frame for Monacelli and Williams. Now Monacelli, his partner.
Let's see if Monacelli has the same fate of Walter Ray Williams Jr. Walter Ray just rolled the ball much slower than he had in the first game, didn't give it enough room, got the split. Let's see if Monacelli keeps the speed up and sends it wide.
Won only 2 titles, but in his career is nearing the $400,000 earned mark. And speaking of mark, 1,333,906, 18 years, a member of the PBA, his 101st television appearance. So So Mark Roth now will be shooting the 3-6-10.
You can see, Chris, as he goes high on the right-hand lane, the different angle that Mark Roth and Marshall Holman are playing compared to Monacelli, and especially Williams. They're playing the big hook ball, as you see from this beautiful down-the-lane shot. You're looking straight up lane 60 here. Roth starting the ball about the 25th board. There's only 39 boards on a lane, so he's left of center.
And a four-time Player of the Year, Mark Roth, with speed of 22 miles per hour on that shot. As a spare for he and his partner Holman, who is up, open with a strike, third frame.
These two players, more than $2.5 million in combined earnings. Number 1 and number 2 all-time on the PBA money list.
This is Marshall's 94th television appearance. He gets his second strike. Earl Anthony is the leader in that department, 114 times in the television finals.
Revolutions on a bowling ball. 60 feet, the ball rolls. Marshall Holman has a turnover more than 15 times. The action, look at as he just blisters those pins, and that spin drives that 6-pin up, takes out the 10. Holman, one of the, if not one of the greatest bowlers that ever has bowled on the tour.
And here's someone that Player of the Year in '86 could get even greater. And that one just slid by the pocket. Still having a little trouble with the approaches. Checking it out with his shoes. Leaving the 2.
Well, Walter Ray up and down here in the first 2 frames on the right-hand lane. He goes high for the 3-6-7-10 split, as he also takes the full approach. And the reason we see so many players doing that, that's the easiest way to get speed on the ball. Use the full approach.
All right, now Monacelli for his team. If you just joined us, this is the Showboat Doubles Classic. Fast indeed. Monacelli and Williams defeated Larry Laub and Dave Soutar in the first game, 265 to 221. Winner of this match will meet Brian Voss and Pete Weber. Four-pin for Amleto.
Monacelli kind of surprised at the 4-pin. The championship pair, 59 and 60 at the Showboat lanes, are known very well by all the pros we've bowled here so many times over the years. And lane 59 does not ever hook as much as 60. Monacelli surprised by that little jump in the last 5 feet, causing him to leave the 4-pin.
Okay, coming up next will be Holman and Roth, but first we'll take a timeout.
There's a level of performance that separates the good from the great. That's why Carmen Salvino designed the Ebonite Thunderbolt. The exclusive power core increases gyroscopic action for a sharper hook on heavy oil. And the Thunderbolt rolls farther before hooking, so it hits harder for less deflection and more striking power. The difference between good and great is the power of the Thunderbolt.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade, with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
Halftime, NBA Finals, you get 5 shots worth 10 grand each. Enter the Fritos Corn Chips, make it and take it sweepstakes. Cause with $50,000 on the line, you can hardly call them free throw.
Brian Boitano, Katarina Vick, Debbie Thomas, and more dazzle in a night of Olympic champions. Plus the mini marathon on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Next.
Mark Roth and Marshall Holman in the Showboat Doubles Classic are going against Amleto Monacelli and Walter Ray Williams Jr., who won the first match over Laub and Soutar. At the moment, Holman and Roth leading by 12. Strike up in the third. Mark Roth, 4th frame.
Surprising turn of events. We saw such fast action in the first game as Soutar and Laub really pressed Monacelli and Walter Ray Williams Jr. And now everything has slowed down tremendously. Both teams struggling. Roth and Holman had a 12-pin lead. It'll be all even after the shot.
So our 5 teams striving for $28,000. We asked Marshall and Mark about a premier doubles team.
I think our success is because of our compatibility as players. We both throw similar shots. We like to throw the power shot, and Mark is a leadoff man, lines me up, makes it very easy for me to get lined up, make the good shots.
You said everything I was going to say.
Well, Mark better start. Marshall better start lining Mark up a little bit. As Holman's been around the pocket, getting 2 strikes. Roth way off the target, 3-6-10 in the second frame, 4-6-7 open in the fourth frame. The match is all even. They have won this tournament 3 times.
77, 79, 84. Marshall now leaves the 10-pin on his lane, the left.
The angle that both Holman and Roth are playing on the championship here is pretty much of what I call a defensive angle. They're so deep inside, way inside, trying to avoid the sharp break and keep the ball from going high and getting splits. It's going to be difficult to get strings of strikes, and I think their opponents will recognize that. Amleto Monacelli and Williams know that Roth and Holman really can't throw a lot of strikes, so they may become more aggressive.
Medford, Oregon's Marshall Holman with a speed of 20 miles an hour on that shot. Tight match, all even. Walter Ray Williams is up his team with a spare working. There you look at the money winners for 88.
Bob Benoit, a great winner, buoyed by that $100,000 he won at the Quaker State for the perfect game. There's Weber and Voss will be in the next match, and Holman, number 5, is in this match. Mark Williams had a 300 this week.
The World Horseshoe Pitching Champion, 4 times an adult and 3 times as a junior, and from Venezuela, with his parents watching here and his younger brother, who bowled in this event, Rudolfo Jr.
18 years old, Rudolfo Jr. has bowled a couple of PBA events, throws a very powerful ball, a likable young man, as is
Rudolfo and Uriday.
To them, it's Buenas tardes, this good afternoon, and bien suerte to this young man who needs a strike to take the lead, their son.
Another 4-pin for Monacelli.
What's starting to surface is something we saw, Chris, in January, that the big hook ball will not work on this championship pair in the last year, 2 years. So Walter Ray Williams Jr. has the best shot. He's throwing the hard, straight one, and he could be the real difference in this whole match. Monacelli plays the big hook. He made that adjustment when he won the title in January, but he didn't shoot big scores. Holman and Roth both throw the big hook. Now for Roth, who has just really struggled in the first 2 frames, he must get something going, instill some confidence in himself and his partner.
Eight going out at the last moment, leaving the 2-4-5 for the man who 6 times has earned $100,000 or more a year. His partner 7 times and will go for the 8th time over 100 today, Marshall Holman.
Bowling's probably most all-around talented player, Mark Roth. The good wrist action, although he has his wrist somewhat wrapped because it's tender, has the high follow-through, but he's really struggling today. Now this is doubles action, and what Holman has to do right now is be very aggressive, get his partner charged up. I think Marshall Holman has anything to lean on. Take that big, powerful strike ball, really juice it up, take a shot at hitting the pins light, and getting Roth charged up and maybe putting a little psych into his opponent. Let's see what happens.
So Mark come back from the line with his head down and immediately reached over to grip his hand like, come on, buddy, only trailing by 3. So Marshall more than holds up his share of the teamwork here. More of the second match from Las Vegas following this.
For great personal service and low everyday prices, check the lineup at your neighborhood True Value hardware store, where the June bargain of the month is this nylon carry-all just in time for summer travel. It has 3 roomy compartments, comfort grip handles, and an adjustable shoulder strap, plus a footed bottom that protects against scuffs. In June, get this lightweight carry-all for just $9.99, where you see the banner at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
For every man who wears Brute deodorant, there's a woman who will always be glad that he did. Because a man who wears Brute deodorant is nice to be close to. Brute, it smells like a man.
Great. There are 3 good reasons to try A&W root beer. 1, it's rich and delicious. 2, it's a great change of pace. 3, you don't buy it, I may have to go back to my old job. Pig catching.
Division rivals meet as the Houston Astros take on the Dodgers, or an American League Classic, Boston at New York, on ABC's Monday Night Baseball.
At the Showboat Doubles Classic, Monacelli, teaming up with Walter Ray Williams Jr. in the 8th frame, has left the 4-7, running behind our time slot of 90 minutes, so we had to bowl while we were away. Walter Ray Williams left the 10-pin, but marked with a spare in the 7th. Now his partner trying for a spare. We're still even here, coming right down to the final frames, Bo.
Chris, this is the biggest shot of the match and you look at the 2 players coming on in the semifinal. Well, those are our tournament leaders, Joe Berardi on the left and Dave Ferraro on the right. The next match will feature the team of Voss and Weber, but for Roth, the biggest shot of the match. He can take the lead, but he's really struggled, and he will finish this match. It'll be up to him in the 10th.
Slowed it down a bit to 16 miles an hour and left the 10, and it's frustrated.
Great natural talent. Let's look at the first couple of frames. He went with about 20 miles an hour. He went high in the 2nd, tried to make an adjustment in the 4th, struggled again in the 6th on a big shot. He trusts the ball, slows it down, rolls the great big hook, gets a bad break to solid 10, and the match stays all even.
And like in singles competition here in the PBA Tour, in case of a tie, be a 2-frame roll-off.
Now Holman once again must get charged up. We said in the 7th frame he had to keep Mark Roth in the match. This will be Holman's last shot unless we go to overtime or a tie match. So he must really make his best shot, put a lot of power on the ball, and get his partner charged up.
2 United States Open titles, 1 Firestone. What a competitor. Marshall Holman, Medford, Oregon.
Great winner, proving that he can not only do it in singles, but in doubles. On the score sheet, it's a strike, but psychologically to his opponents and his partner, it keeps him in the match. Now, let's see if Walter Ray Williams Jr. can strike here, and we'd be all even going into the 10th.
That's them all, even with a high hit, but a powerful ball. It's big. Walter Ray Williams Jr. He's 6'2", 180 pounds.
It's now a 1-frame match. The players each bowled 42 games all week, 84 total coming into this championship. Make it 85 for Monacelli and Williams because they won the first match against Laub and Soutar. And it all goes down to who can strike in the 10th frame. It's all even.
You see Monacelli's high game, 266. Well, it combined with Walter Ray in the first match, a victory, shooting at 265. Head-to-head doubles. Brian Voss and Pete Weber will be the winners' opponents.
Look at Amleto Monacelli. Struck in the 2nd frame, 4-pin in the 4th, 4-pin in the 6th, fast 4-7 count in the 8th, but under the gun when he really needed it, little extra speed, trusted the shot. He's given his team a 10-pin lead, but by no means can they shut out the Roth and Holman team. The best they can do is 205. Roth and Holman still have a chance for 205.
Holman into the 1-3 pocket. Monacelli.
Revolutions on the bowling ball. You saw it on Holman's ball. You see it on Amleto's. 15, 16 revolutions. Now watch him saw up the pins. That 6-pin just love taps the 10. Big, big shot. If he strikes here, they cannot lose in regulation, only tie. They would force Mark Roth to throw 3 strikes on a lane he has not gotten 1 strike so far.
Beautifully handled by Williams and Monacelli. 205.
Chris, you always talk about experience. Amleto Monacelli could not have done what he just did in years past. He has really matured into a great player. He showed it there in the 10th, and he's put it on bowling's greatest player. Mark Roth must strike 3 times on a lane he has not had a single strike on, just to tie.
And a pesky 4-pin for the 2 great players of the year. Oh, now, soon we'll show you how amateurs can increase their power by properly using their wrist. Today's Old Spice Tip of the Week is brought to you by Old Spice, the clean, classic scent men love.
Over the years, I've seen a lot of amateur bowlers. And one of the biggest problems they have is with ball control and ball power. And the reason lies within the wrist. Normally, the amateur bowler will set up all right with their hand and wrist underneath the bowling ball. But as they push it away, they allow that wrist to break down towards the floor. That puts them in a weak position. The pro bowlers hold that wrist underneath the bowling ball all the way through the swing until they release the ball. There's a couple of things you can do to improve your strength and control. Number 1, put your fingers in the bowling ball and leave the thumb out. Take that ball and swing it through the entire arc. This will allow you to have the control and keep your wrist and hand underneath the bowling ball. Secondly, especially for you women, try a wrist device. This will help you keep that hand and wrist in palm underneath the bowling ball. When you put it all together, it should look something like this. Remember, when you keep that hand and wrist under the bowling ball, your power and control will improve.
What kind of man whistled the Old Spice tune?
He's my daddy. My practically perfect husband.
You can count on him.
He's the captain of my ship.
He's a friend.
The Old Spice man, a man's man.
Clean, refreshing Old Spice. It's the favorite scent of the American man, and he'll never change his tune.
And I love him for it.
Old Spice.
Now let Bo help you score even more. You'll also fix problems, improve strategy, and practice smarter with Bo Burton's new bowling video.
This video is for you.
ABC Sports and Old Spice bring you Bo Burton's new instructional video, Score More. Just $24.98 plus $3 shipping. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR. That's 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
As we reported to you some time ago, some touring professional bowlers have incorporated outside of the Professional Bowlers Association and filed a suit against the PBA in federal court. The suit alleges violations of antitrust laws. Now, the opening arguments are scheduled for August 29th, and these touring professional bowlers will claim that the PBA has overly restrictive rules and prevents the bowlers from earning extra income in such areas as non-PBA tournaments and endorsements. We here at ABC Sports will keep you up to date as the case proceeds. Right, here at the Showboat in Las Vegas, it is Monacelli and Williams moving a step closer to the top prize, 205 to 183 over great champions Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. Really apologizing to each other for losing. Pressure is intense here, believe me. These are some of the 70 lanes here in this part of a 106-lane establishment. And about 20 minutes from here is a gigantic project started in 1931 named the Hoover Dam, forming Lake Mead. the largest man-made lake in the United States. Hoover Dam did all this. What a project.
Too many people think a spark plug's a spark plug. Well, all spark plugs aren't alike. These AC copper core plugs match my car's specs like rounds in a chamber, firing up to 30 times a second for up to 30,000 miles of high revving firepower.
Precision AC Delco parts. They don't just fit, they match.
Keep your car running the way it was made to run.
Now get up to $780 back on AC filters and plugs. See your retailer for details.
Yesterday's copper top battery would need more than a wing and a prayer to keep up with today's Duracell battery. Because today's is so much better, it'll last up to 30% longer than the one we made just 3 years ago. Which means that yesterday's battery now falls a bit short. Today's Duracell lasts 30% longer.
There's a clean, crisp, ice-cold, beechwood aged Budweiser with your name on it.
Mom and Dad here? Yeah, they are.
Now we move right into the semifinal match here at the Showboat Doubles Classic. And Brian Voss, Pete Weber. Tremendous young talents, and their records show it. But Monacelli and Williams have taken care of Soutar and Laub. They have just eliminated Mark Roth and Marshall Holman. Games of 265 and 205, and Monacelli up first. Great welcoming to Pete Weber and Brian Voss by Monacelli.
Some strategy involved here, Chris. Weber and Voss, they decide who wants to start the match, and so watching Monacelli perform in the clutch there, the 10th frame, they decide to let him start the match and make Walter Ray Williams bowl the 10th frame if it goes that far. So that's a good move already by Voss and Weber.
You're looking at 130 pounds of intensity. Pete Weber, Florissant, Missouri. Weber, the reigning United States Open champion, the PBA national champion, winning it for Trust Corp in Toledo this year, Brian Voss. The two of them have won nearly $300,000 bowling here in 1988, and it's only June.
Pretty lucrative when you're that good, and their goals for this year, both of them said to be Player of the Year, so they can carry each other a step farther with a win here.
Brian Voss, who has his own cheering section here, his family, leaves the 10 pin on the left flame.
Voss goes high, and you'll see the 4, 7, and 10 pins standing. The 2 pin will come around and take out the 4 and 7 and leave the 10. There it is, 4, 7, 10 split. 2 pin does the job. If he had gotten a little break on the 10, he'd have had a strike, and their team would have started with a double.
All right, spare for Brian Voss at Tacoma, Washington. Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Monacelli have paired, they have teamed very effectively, both striking when they needed to, and now here in his third game, first look at Walter Ray, his partner, with a strike in the first.
Historically, a slow starter, and just gathers momentum as he keeps winning.
are pumped up.
Very true, Chris, and they've made a smart move. The big hook ball will work on lane 59, the lane that Monacelli's on. As you see, the route that these two players have taken to get to the top five is Monacelli and Walter Ray never really out of the championship round. They bowled 24 games in the finals, and right now they're down to the semifinals and backing up. The big hook ball will work on the left-hand lane, 59. Monacelli has stayed on that lane. That's smart. The right-hand lane has given all the hook ball bowlers trouble, and there's where Walter Ray could
Solid 8. Monacelli with the long look and the wry grin of his partner Williams.
A little bit of the reciprocity of bowling. The solid 8 was the undoing of Dave Soutar and Larry Laub when Soutar came up in the 9th frame, needed a strike to put pressure on Monacelli, and he left a solid 8. Now Walter Ray, who could have opened up, and Monacelli could have opened up a commanding lead the solid 8, and he goes right by it.
Hurriedly, he went to the line and he really didn't stay down with the shot and blew it.
As you see the ball sliding to the left of the 8-pin, Monacelli once again going down and wiping something off the approach. It's a player's responsibility to check the approach every time he gets up there. If some residue is left from a farmer player or something like that, you still must check the approach every time. So a little mental slip there, and it turned into a major error in the 3rd.
Now, Pete Weber, 25 years old. Spare working. And Pete left a 4-pin. He, too, looking at the end of the approach near the line.
Well, it's hard to say what can affect an approach. Sometimes a player would have picked something up on his shoe. Sometimes you leave a little rubber off the heel, and it's bothering everybody.
Pete made sure with a lot of speed to cover that lone pin. We asked these two, how do you help each other, Voss and Weber?
Well, the way we help each other is, even though one of us is getting tapped a lot, the other guy's bowling good no matter which game it was, and I think that was a real key to our game this week.
Yeah, I think the same thing. You know, we had a lot of fun together. I know his potential, and when he's bowling bad, I know the next game he's liable to shoot 300. And it was that way all week. We worked together well, and we're going to do that again today.
All right. Brian Voss getting a strike for his team, leading by only 2 pins. We'll be back.
Today, we're going to find out why America rides Monroe shocks and struts. Sir, why do you ride Monroe?
It's the better handling.
Oh, that's
Huh?
It's the smoother ride.
Better handling.
Smoother ride.
Better handling.
Smoother ride.
Well, whatever your reason, see your Monroe ride expert for the best ride ever. Guaranteed. No wonder America rides Monroe shocks and struts.
Somehow there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Hey, step up to the mic.
Mike.
Mycotin. This cures athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Myconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Yes? You got something that cures athlete's foot?
Sure, step up to the mic.
Huh?
Mycotin. It cures athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic. Use the Mycotin coupon in your Sunday paper.
Semifinals Doubles Classic. Monacelli, his partner with a strike up. And he left a solid 8 earlier. Now a solid 9 as you look at his parents, Rodolfo and Iride. Barquisimeto, Venezuela.
Chris, this shouldn't happen in Barquisimeto or even in the United States. The solid 9. His ball hits the 1-3 and just cuts right by the 9-pin. A ball is designed in our sport to deflect when it hits the 1-3 and bounce into the 9. The ball is just too strong for the pins we're using.
All right, Voss and Weber still leading by 2 pins. Strike up in the 4th. Weber to shoot in the 5th frame.
Weber and Voss have to feel somewhat fortunate to even be in the match, much less leading, as Monacelli and Williams could have the first 5 strikes easily, but now they can extend their lead to 12 pins if Weber can double.
intensity and the skill of his dad, Dick Weber, who bowled here this week as a team player.
Bowled with Tita Semez, and they'll be back for the seniors doubles, which will be will be played here at the Showboat in a couple of weeks. Now the pressure's off both these players, Chris. Once they strike, they feel like they've kind of done their duty to their partner. They haven't let them down, and this team could get real tough right now.
Two hottest on the tour this year, Brian, with 2 victories. Of course, Pete, the United States Open champion. Brian, the national PBA champion, and Walter Ray Williams, whose best year was in '86. Hanging in there for his team with a spare up shooting in the 6th, trailing by 22.
Walter Ray turning over to Harry Golden and Frank Esposito to get another re-rack. The team is only allowed 3 re-racks during a championship game. They've had their quota, so Walter has to shoot this setup.
No break on that shot. Looked like a pin from the board on the left was going to come over and take out the 10. It didn't.
And you see what they call the pinwheel and ball wheel. That white thing you see there picks the ball up, and the pinwheel delivers the ball up to the turret where the pins are reinserted and ready to go. Now Walter for the spare.
All right, Dave Ferraro and Joe Berardi, tournament leaders, waiting to meet the winner of this match for the title. Now Monacelli.
Psychologically, doubles action is so quick. Monacelli and Williams look like they're struggling, and yet they've been almost perfect. They have 3 balls that did not strike on really good-looking hits, and they trail in the match by 23 pins.
And another 10 pin for the team that has 2 victories coming into this semifinal match.
Momentum, how elusive, and even more elusive when you're bowling doubles only 5 frames. It looks like you can look at the look on both Walter Ray's eyes and Amleto's eyes and say, what's happening? The game is going by so quickly, and we're trailing, and we're in big trouble.
Monacelli's partner, Walter Ray Williams, will be back.
You've got this all wrong. You want to make news of the cereal today, you need a gimmick. Putting a whole banana inside a little bran biscuit, stuff like that. These are just flakes. I don't think I've tasted anything like it. Simple, light, it's really very good. Well, how about that? A cereal that doesn't need a gimmick.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
Savages? Nah, guys with irritated skin from shaving. Try new Aqua Velva Skin Conditioning Aftershave. Hey, it's creamy. Guys prefer its soothing formula.
And fragrance. There's something about new Aqua Velva Skin Conditioning Aftershave.
This man is twice as strong as this man. Tom's EX is twice as strong as Rolaids. So when you have heartburn, get the extra strength and acid. Tom's EX, twice as strong as Rolaids.
Tomorrow on ABC Sports, Indy winner Rick Mears returns to the site of his first kart victory. It's the Milwaukee 200 live. Then on Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure, explore one of the Earth's most forbidding places. Sam Posey hosts an Antarctic Odyssey. All tomorrow on ABC Sports.
Yes, racing and adventure tomorrow here on ABC, and we've had some adventure here while we were away, running behind our time slot. We bowled, and Weber had a strike in the 7th frame. Voss came up and left the 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, and it's an open frame. It brings these 2 teams within 15 pins of each other now. As the trailing team, right now, it's in the hands of Walter Ray Williams, Jr. And they're plagued by the single pin spare.
Chris, you're right. Walter Ray Williams, just watch the solid 10. Actually, watch the 10 pin. Watch the base of it. It'll actually jump off the ground. Here the ball goes through. Now watch this. Boom, something hits it. Jumps right up off the ground. Not to be. What an unlucky game this has been so far for Monacelli and Williams, but they're still in the match. They trail by 16.
And now Monacelli on the left lane.
Monacelli team going at a 194 pace, Voss Weber 210 foundation frame. Very important for Amleto right here.
Here's a team that shot a 265 to Laub and Soutar's 221, then eliminated Roth and Holman 205 to 183. And they met a hot team and strung 4 before an open frame in the 8th. There's that team, and now here's Pete Weber of the Voss team. What he's on is incredible.
That's very true, Chris. He has just that great natural knack, and among the greatest bowlers in the world, Pete Weber is creeping up on all the records at such a young age, and he has a partner who is just grinding everybody down. 2 of the premier bowlers in the world today going against 2 of the fellows that are right there with him, the team of Monacelli and Williams. But for Brian Voss right now, who had that disastrous open frame in the 8th, he can rectify everything with a strike here. He can shut out Monacelli and Williams.
Now they're faced with a 10.
The first time that anything has really gone wrong for the Voss team in this match. They could have shut out Monacelli Williams with a strike there. Now what they can do is just force Walter Ray Williams Jr., one of the great clutch bowlers on the tour today, to throw 2 strikes to win.
A little apprehensive, thinking he might miss the 10-pin. Brian Voss, 2 titles already this year. He has been a pro 6 years, 6 titles. His partner, Weber, pro 9 years, 11 titles.
And both these players are close to averaging more than 100,000 a year on the tour.
Voss, his style is seemingly effortless. Brian Voss.
It's all up to Deadeye. He must throw 2 strikes and a 7 count to win the match and go on to meet our tournament leaders, Berardi and Dave Ferraro. If he gets anything less than a strike on the next 2 balls, the team of Voss and Weber advance.
No, believing the 2-5. So, our first 2 game winners, Monacelli and Williams, are out. Voss and Weber go into the finals. We'll be back.
Why do they call it heartburn? When it's me, your stomach, that's hurting. When antacids don't stop the pain from coming back, it could be an ulcer. It's okay, because there are treatment programs to help heal ulcers. If you think you have an ulcer, go see your doctor and ask about the available treatment programs. Sponsored by Smith, Klein & French, the ulcer experts. You could make your stomach very happy.
A&W, the root beer people, have a cream soda with such old-style, creamy taste. Just 1 sip made me wax so nostalgic. I invited all my childhood buddies to Hollywood. Hi, buddies.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade, with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
Friday, they've made you laugh, made you cry, and made you think. Join Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters for a 2-hour special, 2020's 10th anniversary, Friday.
Logan Pass, Montana and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Logan Pass means trailblazing, exploring the wilderness of Glacier National Park. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place, an Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
Guys, it just doesn't get any better than this.
Far from solid, the Earth is constantly in motion as its crust cracks and shifts around a fiery core of molten rock. Sometimes, this explosive power is unleashed in volcanoes and earthquakes, violent internal forces that can form new land and even today create new oceans. Witness a world born of fire on the best of the National Geographic specials.
Tonight at 7 on WHTM, TV 27. Watch John Riffitz with sports on 27 News at 6.
Hi, I'm Frank Gifford. Today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the figure skating stars of Calgary as you've never seen them before. Olympic medalist Brian Boitano, Katarina Witt, Brian Orser, and Debbie Thomas will lead a cast of champions performing in a very special exhibition. And the New York City Mini Marathon, a 10-kilometer race to New York Central Park that features 1984 Olympic champions Joan Benoit Samuelson and Mary Decker-Slaney. We'll be back after the final game of bowling. Chris?
Thank you, Frank. And here at the Showboat in Las Vegas, a new winning team, Voss and Weber, 210 to Monacelli and Williams, 194. They're into the final, shooting for the $28,000 first prize and the title. 118 teams started.
At two-man team, that's 236 players. Average game down a little bit, but I think it's caused by a lot of part-time players coming out. And you look at these teams, as we won't read through them, look for your favorite. A lot of great teams, a lot of good friendships made, and a lot of money made. As see Pete McCordick, who won last week with Mark Williams. The Eagle, I'm glad to see him bowling well. He bowled with Mike Karch. Some of the other names you're not familiar with, Rick Jones. There's the defending champions, Furpo and Warren in 15th, 6th, and Rick Greiner, Tony Morisi, Ringener, Chuck Pierce. Frank Ellenberg does a great job with ABC. He works with us every week. For caucus, and the top 24 was rounded out by Avery and LeBlanc. 30 places they paid $1,460 to the last spot, Chris.
And Bo, directly in front of us, a seniors team, charter member of the PBA and Hall of Famer, Carmen Salvino and Jim Stefanich. They didn't finish high, but they competed, and that's what it's all about. And Carmen's book titled Fast Lanes is doing well. Interesting. Fast Lanes, kind of a overall synopsis of his experience over 40-some years as a top professional bowler. Now, here's some young men trying to make their mark, similar to the great legend Salvino's. We see for the first time Dave Ferraro and Joe Berardi going against PBA national champion Brian Voss and U.S. Open champion Pete Weber for the Showboat 1988 doubles title. Left lane. All but the 9 for Brian Voss.
Voss, who has been awfully good at times this week when he kept his speed up. When he starts slowing down and tries to what we call stroke the ball in there, he has been high and light, high and light. If he keeps the speed up for 4 more frames, he'll be tough.
Coming in today, earned over $144,000 this year. And you're looking at Joe Berardi, true veteran, qualified first with his partner Dave Ferraro. They were 4th last year in the Doubles Classic. All right. On the right, the pretty lady, the general manager of the Showboat, Judy Moore, and to her right, on the left of the screen, that is Jack Cook, manager of the Showboat Lane.
Hosts not only many bowling tournaments, but many sporting events in the Showboat Pavilion. Now, Dave Ferraro, one of the great clutch bowlers on the PBA Tour, has come back from wrist injury earlier this year, has 10 tournaments and 10 cashes on the tour. Very tough.
2 victories for Dave Ferraro, both in the state of Ohio, in Columbus and in Cleveland. All right, now, 25-year-old Pete Weber.
Being a team captain, Voss couldn't have set his team any better. Weber, who is a good clutch bowler, he'll finish for his team. Ferraro, great clutch bowler, will finish for the Berardi team.
And for Weber, a 10.
Pete is born into a great bowling family. Bowled his first perfect game at the age of 12. He has added 28 more perfect games, and I'm sure Many more after that, Chris, and he will soon start closing in on Roth and Holman as bowling's all-time leading money.
Nearly fouled. 23-mile-an-hour speed on covering the 10. Now, Brian Voss.
The man who's done it everything this year on the PBA Tour. High in average, right up near the top in money. Does modeling, weightlifting, plays basketball. A bachelor, just enjoys life and does a great job.
Won't enjoy that particular 4, 6, 10.
Well, for Brian, you can just see the ball slowing down. He doesn't have the ball speed, and he goes right through the middle, leaves the 4, 6, and 10 pins. What he needs to do is go over here to the 6, 10, try to bounce one of them out. Bad mistake going by that, Chris.
All right. Gives Boston Weber 44 pins through the 3rd. And of course, it's an open. Whereas Ferraro and Berardi double up.
Berardi just turned to Dave Ferraro and said, I could just try to let's nail him in the first 4 frames. And they do have that opportunity if they can throw 2 more strikes.
Here's the 1982 Masters winner, the 1983 Firestone champion. First title was the U.S. Open in Windsor Locks. Wow! Ooh, pumped. 3 in a row for the #1 team.
The key pin, big-time strike for Berardi as he sends the 2-pin to the sideboard, knocks out the 7, then watch it just tilt the 4-pin forward to make 3 strikes in a row and open up a 36-pin lead.
Dave Ferraro of Kingston, New York, 29 years old. So the all-New York team, and especially Ferraro, left with a 6-10.
Dave Ferraro, whose family's in the bowling business, has a 26-lane bowling center in Kingston, upstate New York. Father was in the horse racing business, still is one of the great consistent players.
And his cousin Mike Ferraro is the interim manager for the New York Yankees right now.
You want anything? How about a light?
Whoa! Oh, Bob. Could you make that a Bud Light?
If you want the great taste of Bud Light, ask for it.
Did you see?
No. Did you? No. Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
The Ace Reinforced Garden Hose for $9.88. And the Gilmore Selector Spray with Quick Connect Coupler for $3.99.
Hey, lots of good stuff here. All over. You can't miss it. Hey, let me tell you, Ace is the place for me.
Is there a problem?
The fridge is out.
Oh, I can get you where you're going.
Stetson Cologne. Easy to wear, hard to resist.
You're letting that great-smelling guy get away? Are you kidding?
Division rivals meet as the Houston Astros take on the Dodgers, or an American League Classic, Boston at New York, on ABC's Monday Night Baseball.
While we were away, Weber and Voss, each with a strike, have narrowed Ferraro and Berardi's lead to 24 pins. So the game is really on, the championship game. Now Berardi. Spare working, 5th frame. And a 6th pin for Berardi from Brooklyn.
The somewhat unknown that allows a professional bowler to dominate a particular bowling center or a particular week. These 2 players, you saw them both go high, Ferrari and Berardi, and they both end up with easy spares.
Earlier we asked the pair, why do you enjoy the doubles tournament?
Yeah, I enjoy the doubles because it's the only tournament you get a chance to root for somebody. I mean, I go all out, the camaraderie comes out, and it's a lot of fun. Watching your partner get a strike to help you win, it means a lot to me.
Well, I think that last year we bowled well together, and this year we bowled well together. We must have the right chemistry with each other, and hopefully it'll work today.
And here is Ferraro. Sliding by, leaving the 2-4 here in the title game.
I think Berardi and Ferraro, Chris, really have the right attitude coming into this tournament. It's not a big money-paying tournament, and it's a time when somebody that is really your friend off the lanes, you can contribute something together for the family treasuries of each family and towards their own careers, and it's a fun tournament.
Tennis, it's doubles or double trouble, but not so, I don't think, as much in bowling.
Now, this match that was being dominated by the tournament leaders Ferraro-Berardi team can get very close. If Weber can strike here in the 6th, his partner Voss can capitalize on that in the 7th. We'd only have a 1-pin difference.
A 4-pin Weber, hoping for it to fall because they had a double working.
Now, what we're talking about here is very simply a Weber leaves a 4-pin, the ball cuts through, he almost gets a strike. The 2-pin goes to sideboard and doesn't quite get behind the 4-pin. A thing to remember, machines are required, the automatic pincers are required to give the player at least 3 seconds from the time the ball impacts the head pin to complete its pin action, and that it did, and the machine can't assist him. So Weber ends up with a spare. The team trails by 22.
Now the team with a 10-pin. We mentioned Brian with his family. His parents, Diane and Dale, his brothers Mark and Mike, sisters Dina and Sherry, all wearing special T-shirts. There's Mom, and it merely says Brian and Pete. But the team that the T-shirted folks are wearing, trailing by 23 pins.
Concerned look on Weber's face. Voss trying to figure the score as he looks up to the automatic score. 23 pins, Brian, is the difference. Not much you can do about it. You got to hope that you can throw some strikes, and you got some tough competitors here. Berardi up.
Tournament leaders strike in the 7th. Difference of about 6,500 to each player, winning or finishing second.
I like this young man's style. You watch the release of Dave Ferraro. He doesn't throw the big hook ball. He keeps his hand directly behind the ball, gets good wrist action. Maybe one slight improvement he could make in his game would be a little more with his knee bend. But he stays right behind the ball, and he makes direction the primary part of his game. And he's awfully tough in the clutch.
Come on, Jay.
Birding a 5-7 and a big smile. Intensity on Joe Berardi's face, however, saying just be sure you make the 7.
The deep inside angle. Watch the ball as it hits the 1-3 and deflects around the 5-pin. He gets a break as the head pin comes off the sideboard. Talked about overpowering the pins. Their time from the deep inside angle, too much speed. Gets a good break, avoids the 5-7 split.
All right.
That team continues to lead by 23. We'll be back.
If you thought you had to give up comfort to get a close shave, Norelco says, think again. Their revolutionary shaving system shaves skin close in a way that's incredibly comfortable. As the hair enters the chamber, the patented lift and cut system lifts each hair and holds it a split second before a blade cuts it. So it's possible to shave skin close without the blades even touching the skin. Norelco Rotatrack. We made close comfortable.
Halftime, NBA Finals, you get 5 shots worth 10 grand each. Enter the Fritos Corn Chips, make it and take it sweepstakes. Cause with $50,000 on the line, you can hardly call them free throw. In Ricky Rudd's high-torque V8, clean-running Quaker Safe with QSX provides unbeatable protection from wear and tear.
And the oil that protects my car on the track is the same oil you buy right off the shelf.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Painful conditions are a fact of life in a modern hospital. And when it comes to relieving everyday pain, the overwhelming choice of hospitals is Tylenol. Tylenol is clinically proven effective for all kinds of pain. That's a medical fact. And there's another important thing you should know. Hospitals can trust Tylenol not to irritate your stomach. In fact, unlike aspirin or even ibuprofen, Tylenol is so easy on your stomach, most ulcer patients can use it. Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Brian Boitano, Katarina Witt, Debbie Thomas, and more dazzle in a night of Olympic champions. Plus the mini marathon on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Next.
Skating and marathoning next. Joe Berardi here. Big foundation, ninth frame strike for the tournament leaders. They're really running over because of, well, this pressure. It's sort of doubled. As this is doubles competition, it magnifies. It just added to while we were away in the 8th, Weber with the spare, Voss in the 9th with a strike, but Berardi here in the 9th firing right back.
He set up a situation for his partner, Dave Ferraro, where they just need a spare and 6 pins to lock out the Voss-Weber train. It could be all over on this shot.
And no, the 2-5.
Now, Berardi giving Ferraro some advice, says, Dave, you have to pick this spare or we can lose. And of all the spares that I really don't like to face in a critical situation is this very choppable 2-5, Chris.
Okay. So it's up to Dave Ferraro. He made sure. Double the pleasure, those two say. 4th last year, and even tougher this year.
6 pins needed to lock up the 1988 Showboat title. Dave Ferraro will get 6 pins. Ferraro-Berardi duo are the champions.
High hitting a 6-pin, and we have a winner in Berardi and Ferraro. 2 New Yorkers, Aust, Voss, and Weber, here at the Showboat. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by Micotin. It cures athlete's foot. Step up to the mic. By Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by Aquavelva. There's something about today's Aquavelva man. We're back again at the Showboat, and Judy Moore presenting the check and trophy on behalf of the Showboat. Joe Berardi and Ferraro, the winner. They shot a 2-14. They are the victor. Locked out Voss and Weber. Coming up next, ABC's Wide World of Sports.